Hello and welcome to another video from fantasyfootballscout.co.uk. Today I'm joined by Neil to discuss the best captaincy options for game week 20. Neil, welcome. How are you?
I'm good, yeah. How are you?
Yeah, very good. Yeah, it's been hectic though. So we're now in the third. This is now the third in four quick-fire set of matches, really. So the festive fixtures are trucking along nicely. So once again, I suspect when we're going to be chatting about the captaincy options, it's not just form, it's not just fixtures. We're going to be talking probably about the threat of rotation as well. So keeping an eye on some minutes there. So last time we had quite a successful video. So no pressure. We were inundated with great options. We listed them, the ones we thought were the best. We talked about Salah. We talked about the Manchester United options, Hazard as well against new whipping boys, Watford, Son and Aubameyang, and all of them produced the goods, and these were ones we mentioned as well. So I don't think it's as good this week in terms of options. I don't think there's as many clear-cut particular options. But first off, we're going to have a look at Spurs. Because they've got a potentially great fixture at home to Wolves. So the likely front runners are likely to be Harry Kane. So he has attacking returns in his last 8 starts, including 2 double-digit hauls, and of course Son as well. He's been absolutely outgunning the England striker. So Spurs options, do we think they're the best options? And if so, which one is the best?
Yeah, certainly my preferred option at this stage. I think when the game week deadline passes, then you set your team up for the next week. You sort of knee-jerk a captain. You just pick one almost like as a gut instinct. Kane is obviously my choice. And that hasn't changed from the performance yesterday. I mean, they were absolutely sensational against Bournemouth. As you say, Kane, in his last 8 starts, he's banked a goal or assist or both. So that's what you want from your captain. You want reliability, even if they're not going to haul. You want the consolation of, a goal or an assist to avoid the blank, and 8 in a row. If you've got him, would you look elsewhere with Wolves up? Who, yes, underlying stats they're not too bad. I've had a look this morning, and I think over the course of the season they've conceded the joint lowest number of big chances.
Ooh, okay.
Which was a bit of a surprise to me, because I knew they'd started off well. I thought they'd deteriorated a bit lately, but I watched the Wolves v Fulham game yesterday. That was the first game week 19, and they were all over the shop in the first half. I mean, Mitrovic could have had about 3 or 4. But he had 7 shots in total.
Amazing he didn't score.
I'm not annoying myself, but I felt really bad for those who owned him, because
I just ditched him, and I was in fear that I'd just done it at the wrong time. But yeah.
Look, I mean, I wrote the scout notes on that game this morning, and both Wolves and Fulham have got 2 strikers who are great underlying stats, but they just can't score. But anyway, back to Kane. I mean, you expect Wolves to put in a slightly different display. I think they probably thought they could go for the jugular against Fulham, and were caught out a bit by Fulham's front 3 on the counter. So it might be wrong to read too much into that performance defensively. But I mean, they've only kept 1 clean sheet in the last 12 games, Wolves. So as much as they're posting some decent underlying stats, the proof's in the pudding, really. They're still shipping goals. And I mean, why would you bat against a Spurs attack at the moment, who are they are banging form? They're up to 2nd in the league now. And as you say, it's not just Kane who's an option there now. It's Son Heung-min as well, who's outscoring Kane at the moment. Yesterday again, more penalty box touches than Kane. I think his average position was further forward than Kane as well. Last 6 game weeks, joint highest number of shots on targets of all Premier League players.
Wow.
So, 2 very viable options there. Yes, rotation is a possibility, as it is with all clubs at this stage of the year. But they were 3-0 up after 35 minutes yesterday. That is essentially a rest for the rest of the game. And both of those players got taken off towards the end of the game. So they've had the minutes managed to an extent.
And we've talked about with Kane as well, he does need Eriksen, and once again it proved he did get attacking returns. Eriksen was there. Kane was off at 76 minutes. I like that as a Kane owner. That's exactly what I wanted to see. I want to see him play every game and maybe miss the last 10-20 minutes. And you said Son and Eriksen subbed off shortly afterwards, 83 minutes really. That would indicate, I hope, all 3 will start again.
Yeah, that's a good sign because I think Lucas Moura played the full 90, and you'd maybe expect Lamela to come in this game because he hasn't played the last two, he hasn't started. It could be for Lucas Moura. Now the only other caveat is Dele Alli wasn't available yesterday, so that was one less midfield spot. But he did travel with the squad. Apparently, he just wasn't fit enough to play, so he might come back into contention. But he
Can you
wouldn't.
just bear with me a second? I'm just going to
Yeah,
shut my dog
yeah,
up.
yeah.
If you hang on a sec, I'm just going to write down the time. So 5:20. Okay, hang on a sec. All right, back again. Yes, so we were talking about. I'll just start with asking that question about Ericsson again. So,
Okay.
yeah. So, if you remember how I said it, I'll just come straight in with your reply to it. But yeah, basically, he needs Ericsson.
Cover the minutes before the Ericsson question? Or?
I can keep those bits in because I don't think the dog's barked until then. So, so I'll just say it. So yeah, Kane needs Ericsson, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry.
Just going to repeat
you're going to
bit.
give me more than that. Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've forgotten where we were up to.
Yeah, I'm confused now. Did I mention I did mention they got a rest before we did this segment, didn't we? Before I started with the Ericsson. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Well, I think we're all right with that bit. Okay. Well, I'll just come in with something then.
Just you can cover the Ericsson bit again. I'll mention that he assisted Kane if you want.
Yeah. So I mean, Kane, Ericsson is so vital to Kane, and it's transpired again. Ericsson on the pitch. There we go. Kane gets attacking returns. Do you see that as a vital combination as well in order for Kane to score well?
It seems to have been the case, hasn't it, of late? And I mean, no more evidence than what you saw yesterday. Ericsson provided the assist for Kane's goal. Lovely ball through, which Kane finished. It's the fact early in the season was whether they thought Lucas Moura was impeding with Kane's position, average positions and stuff like that, and then that he was missing Ericsson. But yeah, it looks good as we mentioned before. All three of those players, Son, Ericsson, and Kane, substitute before the end of the 90 minutes. Moore playing the full 90. You'd perhaps expect him to drop out perhaps in the next match. Lamela might come in for him. I mean, they will have Dele Alli back. It sounds like he was well enough to travel with the squad yesterday, not fit to play a part. He wasn't on the bench or anything. So that's perhaps one less midfield spot. But he doesn't play in the same sort of position. He's more of a left midfielder, or he'll drop into the midfield three. So yeah, it looks positive for those on Spurs assets. I think there are fewer better fixtures than this week. I mean, there are other options we'll discuss in a second.
Yeah. I think with Son, you mentioned, but he's been outscoring Kane as well. And I looked at his last 6 starts. He's had 69 points across those 6 starts. Yeah. That's 11.5 points per start over the last 6, which is incredible and is captainable, to put it mildly. But Wolves, yes, you mentioned, just to carry on what you were describing about Wolves, about their not conceding that many big chances, but also not keeping clean sheets as well. So they concede, but not many. And that's kind of carried on really in recent game weeks as well. So I was looking at the last 4 matches really, and they're the 7th worst in terms of conceding shots, which actually isn't too bad. So we consider Cardiff have conceded 77 shots in the last 4, and Wolves on 51. So they're nowhere near kind of whipping boy status. They're kind of okay there. And just that one clean sheet, as you mentioned, that stretches back kind of 12 weeks really. And they conceded only 5 big chances. So to put that in perspective, Southampton over their last 4 matches have conceded 9 and Everton 12. So once again, it's carrying on what you described there about how Wolves have been this season. That's still there really. So my only concern there is Wolves don't concede a lot. But having said that, Spurs are in sensational form. Son in particular. Let's move over to Manchester United. So they're a team with another team in sensational attacking form since Solskjaer took over. The last 2 game weeks have been fantastic for those backing Manchester United assets. So they got Bournemouth visiting. Are their options, particularly maybe Paul Pogba, can they actually rival the Spurs assets for the captaincy this week?
Potentially. I think there are a few more doubts about Man United assets than there are about the Spurs players. Bournemouth have conceded the most goals over the last 6 game weeks, so that's a good start for those who are contemplating the likes of Pogba or Rashford. Some quotes from Solskjaer last night may put a few doubts in people's mind about captaining someone like Rashford, because we're probably or possibly going to have Lukaku, Sanchez, and Martial all coming back for this Bournemouth game. They might only be fit enough or mentally well enough for a place on the bench. Martial, I'd expect to come in on the left flank. But Lukaku and Sanchez are 2 viable alternatives in that centre forward role that Rashford's being played in. I mean, he's banging form in terms of underlying stats. He's got the joint highest number of shots on target in the last 6 game weeks. But I would have doubts, I think, about Rashford, given the options available to Solskjaer in that position.
What about Pogba though? I mean, he's had 2. I mean, the first match in the Solskjaer era, he was the assist man, and then the second match, he's the goal scoring man. So he's shown the 2 sides to the game we want to be seeing there, as well as getting bonus as well. So I mean, he looks nailed on. He does look like a good option, perhaps.
Yeah, security of starts is a big thing around this time of year, and I think he's probably the most likely to keep his place for this game. Solskjaer made 3 changes yesterday, so he's not averse to changing a winning team. But Pogba, they haven't really got that type of player in central midfield to deputise for him. Now he's not renowned for his goal scoring. No. This was effectively. Yesterday, those were his first 2 goals from open play. If you're discounting the penalty rebound against Everton, yes, he had more shots on goal than anybody else in this fixture yesterday. But they were all from sort of 15 yards out or more. So he's not getting into real, dangerous territory, edge of the 6-yard box. And in what other situation would you captain a central midfielder, for your fantasy team? But he's banging form. He's got 2 double-digit holes successively. He is playing in, even though he is a central midfielder, he's playing as an advanced central midfielder on the left-hand side. He's given license to join up with the front 3. And when you're that accurate with your shots, doesn't really matter where you're shooting from. You saw that his goals yesterday, effortless, sort of placed efforts. He's an option. I think I'm personally not considering him. He may be my vice or something like that, but he's got the form, he's got the fixture, he's probably got his starting place guaranteed. I think it's just the fact that he's not renowned for goals from open play, and the fact that he is slightly deeper than
it is
normally captain.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at the in the Solskjaer era, the 2 game weeks, he's had 8 shots, same as Rashford, but then Rashford's had 6 in the box. And as you mentioned, Pogba just the 2 there. So I'm not expecting a lot of goals there. But
he's definitely a good option. I mean, I brought him in myself yesterday, and I think he's a great option going forward. He's maybe not captaincy material.
He is. I've got him. I've currently got the captaincy on him, but I am wavering towards Kane as well. But one of the reasons was looking at Bournemouth's defensive stats. Now, Bournemouth completely folded against Spurs.
Yeah.
But I think that was more about Spurs, maybe. And so if we think Manchester United can do similar, well, then that's fine. Ignore what I'm about to say. But in terms of underlying stats, Bournemouth defence is not as poor as they actually look. So they've had 21 shots in the box conceded the last 4. Only Liverpool have conceded less. Wow. Okay, so they're kind of on a par there with Liverpool in terms of those underlying stats. Yet they're second for goals conceded, 11. Now only Everton with 12 are worse than that. They're amongst the 6 worst for conceding big chances, though. So basically, what it looks like is they are conceding lots of quality chances, but they're not conceding lots of chances overall. So they're going to be great against very accurate strikers.
Yep.
And also, so that perhaps doesn't mean that's going to be that good for, say, Pogba shooting from range. But they are, once again, say Rashford, for example, if I see Rashford on the starting sheet, I think he could get a big haul there. But as you said, we don't know if he's going to start. And another interesting one, last four, they've only conceded 2 headed goal attempts. So I don't think we're going to see too many headed goals according to the stats. No. That's hardly any. That's half. That's half ahead with a game over that period. So now over to the other side of Manchester City. In complete contrast, over the last 2 game weeks, Manchester United have been firing. Man City, I don't know what's going on there. It's relegation form almost. So we'll have a look at them. So I'm putting up a thing on the screen now of a table of. This is the last 2 game weeks really, and Sané is right out there. He is the attacking. He is the guy, the go-to man for trying to get goals. 7 goal attempts there, created 3 chances, and Bernardo Silva and Raheem Sterling be trying their best with creating chances. But Raheem Sterling, just that 1 shot over the last 2, is pretty awful really. What's happened there? And do we dare captain a City asset for their, on paper, should be quite a good fixture away to Southampton?
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how Southampton perform tonight, because they're in action in the last game of game week 19. So that might give us a few more clues to how Arsenal Huddle's work on the defence, because even though they're off the back of successive wins, they're still a bit open defensively. There's not a great deal going for Man City assets going into this game, really. Is it 3 defeats and 4 now? We saw Guardiola's comments yesterday after the match saying, I need to change the dynamic of the team, and that sort of makes you worried about your midfield assets in particular, where it's already rotation roulette. Yeah, I think you've said it yourself. Sané is the only real candidate at the moment. He's ever since Mendy got injured, he started every Premier League game, so he might get rotated. We don't know. I mean, that those words, it might change the dynamic. Perhaps could suggest that he's going to do away with the natural width. Actually, one point I should add is Delph got sent off yesterday.
Yes.
Now you'd expect Zinchenko to play at left back next to. Now he offers more of a natural width on that left flank and more of an attacking threat, certainly. So that might play into Guardiola's thoughts about potentially rotating Sané. But anyway, back to what you were saying about Sané's stats. Yeah, last 6 game weeks, most penalty box touches out of any player in the Premier League. He looks the most secure, and I say that with a big disclaimer. Sterling, I put in one of my most disastrous transfers this season. I got him in on a wild card, pretty much for Salah, although it was effectively
amazing how it's just changed for him. He was the must-have, and now he's the must-don't-have. That
was a complete shit move from me. I'm ashamed of myself for doing that. It was 6 shots in the last 6 game weeks from Sterling. Yes, he hasn't started all those games. He missed one altogether, and he came on as a sub. But even 4 starts and 6 shots, I mean, that is pretty poor. Yeah. I think I'd be avoiding at the moment. They're not going to carry on this run of bad form. They are going to bounce back at some point, but I think they're just too many better options this week. And it wasn't like they've lost to 2 top 6 teams in the last 2 games. It's been Leicester and Palace. It was similar kind of fodder to Southampton. So
Fernandinho out has completely sent them all skew with, basically. They don't know whether they're coming or going, and that's amazing, isn't it, to see how one player, that defensive midfielder, the Kante as he was for Leicester, or that type of role, and they just have not. They don't know what they're doing. So the change of the dynamic, what you were suggesting there, Pep is obviously paid a fortune with trophies all around Europe, so he knows what he's doing. I can't second guess what he's doing week in, week out anyway. I certainly can't here, but I know he'll have a plan. And that, as you said, it could be anything. It could be Zinchenko as left back, get rid of Sané, and then have something like David Silva, De Bruyne, and have more of a kind of go through the centre. It could be.
That's a good point.
It could be. It could be that. It could be keep Sané because he's the only one who seems to be doing anything in terms of underlying stats. We just don't know. I mean, one of the things it could be as well is he could just be going more defensive, kind of abandon that gung ho and say, we haven't got Fernandinho, we've got to just all go for that defensive.
Yeah.
We've got to all fill in for him. But as you said, what it is, we don't know. We're speculating. And once we start speculating, putting question marks in there, I start thinking, no, they're not for the captaincy for me. And I certainly, if I had Sterling, I'd perhaps even be thinking of transferring him out.
I am.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Over to Liverpool. Now, last week we were saying Liverpool had a great matchup with Newcastle. Newcastle's underlying stats away were actually bad. People were saying, often people who didn't own Mohamed Salah, I noticed, were saying Newcastle were fantastic away from home. They weren't actually. They just had loads of easy games and were found wanting against top sides. And so it's transpired there. It's particularly because Liverpool's home attacking form are off the charts. They're just in a league of their own when it comes to shots there. This time, however, they have Arsenal visiting. The consensus is that Arsenal's defence is poor as well. But what do we think about Liverpool? So is Salah, once again, a great captaincy option this week, or do we have some doubts?
I begrudgingly think he's a great captaincy option this week because it's well documented that I sold him on my wild card and he's punished me ever since. I mean, we talked earlier on about effective rests. It was quite a surprise to see that the Liverpool team sheet yesterday was pretty much full strength.
It was.
Even to the point of playing Shaqiri with the front three, so he played like a 4-2-3-1. Both the fullbacks came into play. But I mean, I watched this game. It was the one I was covering at 3:00, and it was a very odd game. It was Liverpool really didn't play that well in the first half, but it was so comfortable. I mean, look, Newcastle had a couple of chances early on. But once they went one goal up, Liverpool, it was the ease with which they played. I mean, it was effectively a day off, for those assets like Salah. So that he's got his rest now. This was his rest, even though he stayed on for the full 90. I think you mentioned Arsenal's defence isn't too bad. They haven't kept a clean sheet away from home this season. They are the 7th worst team for shots in the box conceded all year. Salah himself, I mean, I was looking at the last 6 game weeks and underlying stats. He's not like head and shoulders above anyone else. In fact, he's quite low down in terms of shots in the box. He's 6 less than Aubameyang, for example. Shots on target, he's not top of that. He's 2 below like Aubameyang and Son. Big chances, 4 less than Aubameyang. But his XGI, if anyone who pays heed to that statistic. So this is an Opta thing where they, for the layman, this is where they predict the quality of chances or chances created and calculate what you should be expecting from a player over a given period. So over the last 6 game weeks, Salah's XGI is 5.99. So that's effectively 6 goals he should have been involved in 6 matches. So, it's 1 goal per game. What he's got as an advantage of the other candidates is his creativity as well. So he's created more big chances than any player in the Premier League over the last 6 weeks. It's not just his goals, which is what everyone's really got him for. His goal threat, it's his assists as well. So he's got that dual threat. And Arsenal, I mean, I'm a class nacho, and I've got him in for his attacking stats and only his attacking stats. They are. Or if they've still got problems at centre half. Koscielny came off last night. We don't know what their makeup's going to be. I actually thought Torreira had got booked last night. I'd seen an erroneous report saying he got booked, but it wasn't actually. It was Kolasinac. So he isn't suspended. So that is one boost for Arsenal. If he'd been banned, I mean, I would have been all over that. He's definitely a great candidate this week. I rue the moment I saw that man.
I mean, Arsenal's defensive stats are in the context of against Liverpool's previous opposition, Newcastle. Arsenal are a better defensive unit than Newcastle away. This was I was looking at it. So in terms of their last 4 away matches, now I note though they were against Brighton, Southampton, Bournemouth and Manchester United. So 3 of those are very easy sides, not hugely attacking sides there. So they're among the 4 best teams over the last 4 away matches in terms of conceding shots. You would think that as well. So that's good. They're kind of on what they should be doing for that. They're second best in terms of conceding shots in the box over those 4 away matches. And only Liverpool themselves have actually shifted less close-range efforts over that period. But it is still a good fixture for Salah, as you point out there, because the reverse fixture, now the reverse fixture was 1-1. It was a draw.
Yeah.
But again, in all the other matchups against top sides, Arsenal have conceded at least twice. So looking at Arsenal's away form, it's pretty good when they're against the awful teams. But when they come against a top side, they're found wanting, and they concede at least twice, except when they played Liverpool. They only conceded one. But I think it'll be different. Salah's a different player now as well. He's definitely on form. So I agree. I think it's a really good fixture for Salah. He's definitely in the mix. And I think during this video, I've almost convinced myself possibly to even captain him myself. But looking at those Arsenal stats, because you can look at stats in different ways, and some are slightly misleading. You've got to look at the opposition, and the way Arsenal do concede at least two to top sides, and Liverpool are a top side. And just to put that into context, they're in a class of their own really in terms of attack at home. Last 4 home matches, 89 shots and 15 big chances. That's top in both those categories. Over to Chelsea. Looking at sorry, I'll just start that again.
Yep.
Over to Chelsea now. I think they're another good fixture. You can see from the fixture list here, they're away to Palace. Now, I say it's a good fixture on paper, and Hazard looks a great option. But Palace have just been completely ripping up. They got the form boat, and they just completely ripped it up, burnt it, and thrown it back in the top side's faces at the moment. They're looking really good, and that pains me as a Brighton fan to say Palace are looking a good side. What do we think about Hazard's chances with the captaincy?
Yet another player who've ditched in the last 5 or 6 game weeks who's come back to haunt me. He is a good option. Certainly on form. I think last 6 starts he's only blanked once, and that was against Leicester when he hit the woodwork with that shot. Could have easily returned there. I think we were going to cover this. Yeah, Wan-Bissaka, we could potentially be up against. We don't know this. Hazard played again as a false 9 yesterday. Now Morata should be back for the next fixture, and Giroud's waiting patiently on the bench. But we could see Hazard back on the wing. I say this because Pedro came off with an injury last night, as did his replacement, Hudson-Odoi. So they are 1, possibly 2 wingers down for this game. So you could see Hazard shunted back across to the left. Now, we don't know that. We'll get more information from the press conferences later on and tomorrow. But if he is on the left wing, he'll be up against Wan-Bissaka, who we saw at the Etihad, got a better of Sane.
Did.
Watching that game. It's not the first time this season the Arsenal away game, I think, where he would have been up against Aubameyang. I think was on the left flank that day. Aubameyang did score, but it was from a corner situation.
I know, he was in a recent West Ham game. Anderson did score when he was up against him, but as it was pointed out to me, by that goal was incredible. And they were saying, all the top right backs of all time wouldn't have stopped that. And I'm inclined to agree. And I think there is something in this. I think there now is something about Wan-Bissaka being the nemesis of left wingers for top sides.
It's definitely something that I'd consider. He's a cracking little player. I think we're going to have to enjoy him while we can, because he's definitely going to be 4 million starting next season. It's Palace in general are decent defensively. I mean, another clean sheet yesterday. I mean, it was against Cardiff, who you've got no love for Cardiff yourself, and I think that, it was just a one-way game that we can't really read too much into that. But on the plus side, Hazard's got 7 big chances in the last 6 game weeks, which is, I think, only Aubameyang has got more than that.
Okay.
Amongst all players in every position. Again, the last 6 big game weeks, which I'm obsessed about. He's got a 3rd XGI, so we got Salah top of that, but Hazard's not far away from that. He's definitely like a talismanic figure at the moment. Would Sarri contemplate resting him? There was that quote at the beginning of the month where he said he wouldn't play 10 games in 30 days, but he's had his rest in the Europa League and Carabao Cup. Uh, yeah, I think again he's a great fantasy option. I would just countenance that with the fact that there are probably better captaincy material
Yeah.
this week.
Just,
I wouldn't deter anybody from doing it. He's banging form. He scored 2 yesterday, but Palace's, as I'm sure discussed, Palace's underlying stats are much better than Watford's.
yeah.
Who he was up against last night.
Yeah, so so far really, with Salah is looking a great option. Obviously, the Spurs players Son and Kane as well, and Hazard's he's just not quite. We just don't think he's quite as good an option this time around. What about, just before we go, kind of best of the rest really? Here's a player I quite like, the captaincy for those who have the luxury of making a nice attacking move. I like the look of Jamie Vardy against Cardiff. Jamie Vardy just scores at the moment, and Cardiff are in a league of their own when it comes to conceding shots. So the last 2 matches, they conceded. I couldn't believe this. I thought he'd go wrong, and I kept having to recheck it. They conceded 48 shots, and the next nearest is Everton, who've conceded 28. So they're just absolutely. Their defence has gone on holiday totally, but also over that time they've only conceded 5 goals. So that indicates they should be conceding more. Whereas Everton have conceded 7 goals from those 28 shots. So they've been, if anything, a little unfortunate to concede so many. I don't know. What do you think, Jamie Vardy? Bit off the wall.
Very left wing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's left wing. Did I say left field? I mean
left wing. Well, he could be. We don't know his politics, but definitely it's a left field pick.
I've got my suspicions, but
through the centre of the park.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's as you say, probably the best of the rest. You illuminate that stat for me this morning. I hadn't seen that, but I had seen over a more extended period of time, and this has been a long time coming. These past couple of games for Cardiff, the last 4 game weeks, more shots conceded, more shots on target conceded, more shots in the box conceded. Leicester's underlying attacking stats have been fantastic this season, but I mean they're coming off the back of 2 absolutely phenomenal results. Confidence really high. Although, as we saw with Palace yesterday, it's not always a guarantee that they'll follow up a win against City with a battering of Cardiff. But yeah, he's had a funny relationship with Puel this season. Vardy, he's sort of been in and out the side. He's been managed from a fitness point of view, and he's even said himself the style of Puel's play doesn't suit me. But yeah, I think if you're looking for a differential at the halfway point of the season, he's certainly, that is certainly the eye-catching fixture, yeah. I think, especially with the form Leicester are in and those underlying stats for Cardiff.
I think so too. So I think that's probably all we've got time for now. Yeah. What we're going to do is we're also going to be doing another video tomorrow, so look out for that. That's going to kind of round up all the team news as well. So hopefully that will shed a bit more light on some of these captaincy choices as well. But for now, Neil, thanks so much for joining me. Have a good rest of the Christmas and good luck with the game week.
Thank you. See you tomorrow.